Hello friends and welcome back to Haas of Props. This is a build that I've been wanting to make for quite a while now, and I thought that with the new series releasing it was the perfect opportunity. I know that this was blown up along with the Razor Crest in Season 2 Episode 6, but it is such an iconic weapon of Mando's that I still wanted to make one. So let's get started. The design was created by Rob Palza and is available for free on his My Mini Factory profile. I did make a few changes to the design with the supports and the addition of a hexagonal barrel. Rob Palza uses fiberglass rods as his supports, but I'm substituting with a piece of 1/2-inch PVC pipe. Now the PVC isn't quite thick enough, so I'm wrapping it with some 2mm foam. So the foam doesn't twist when I wrap it, I drew a line down the middle of the pipe so the foam could be straightly aligned with a bead of CA glue before the rest is attached. Then contact cement is used to glue the rest of the foam in place. This will keep it from slipping and shifting when the pieces are attached. Then the seam can be sanded down smooth with a Dremel. While I clean this up, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified about all the future projects dropping. When the rifle pieces were finished printing, I sanded them all with a 120, a 240, and then a 400 grit sandpaper to remove the print lines. Then assembly could commence. It seems to be easier if you start with the butt of the rifle and work your way down the barrel. The insides of the holes and the supports receive some CA glue and the pieces are pushed together and aligned. Once everything is in place, I like to use a couple drops of zip kicker to cure the glue almost instantly and then move immediately onto the next piece. When the stock is assembled, you want to insert a 39.5-inch piece of 1/4-inch dowel. This is the support for the stock and also functions as the rod under the barrel. The next piece is slid onto the dowel and glue can be added before it's pressed up against the stock. Attach this piece and center the octagon opening over the hole before you add the side greeble pieces. Now the EVA foam wrapped pipe can be glued into this top channel, and the next piece can be slid down the pipe and dowel to cover this channel. Attach the scope bracket onto this piece, and then this will help with the placement of the rest of the scope and the second bracket. Once the middle of the scope is in place, the second bracket can be slid into place and then the last scope piece can be attached. This ring can be glued together and slid onto the pipe and sits right up against the last scope bracket. I don't know what these are called, but it seems like it is some sort of grip. These pieces can be glued together. And then the piece can be centered on the remaining pipe. Then the last piece of the barrel can be glued onto the pipe and dowel. And then the fork tip can be attached on the very end. Then I use this spot putty to fill in the seams on the stock and the fork. One of the great things about this design is that Rob divided the pieces so that cleanup could be fast and easy. Once the putty is dry, I smooth it with a 400 grit sandpaper. Then the entire rifle can be coated with a 2-in-1 filler and sandable primer. I always apply 3 coats and sand each coat after it's dry. After all the sanding dust is removed, the rifle is sprayed with a black gloss spray paint. After the black spray paint has dried, I buff graphite powder onto the barrel of the rifle. This will help give the rifle a steel look. Rob didn't include the hexagonal barrel piece in his design, but the series prop does have this shaped barrel, so I removed the tip and added this piece into the build. I included a link to this file below. Now it's time for some detail painting. I based the stock with a burnt umber acrylic. Watch your brush marks. You want to make sure that you brush the length of the stock, that way the brush marks will help you when we add more detailing to the wood grain. Next, the metal parts that didn't get the graphite rub can be based with a metallic silver. Then the scope brackets and some small details can be painted with a metallic gold. If it's not applied too thick, the gold will work with the black base to give an effect that resembles brass. Then I take a nutmeg brown and dry brush this the length of the stock. This is where the previous brush marks help us. This dry brush step should be subtle but not too heavy. We don't want this wood grain to overpower. Then I take some of the metallic silver, mix in a little bit of white, and paint the small rivet details across the whole rifle. Then black is brushed across the silver surfaces and dabbed with a paper towel. This may remove some of the silver, but that only helps add to the paint aging process. Then some burnt umber that has been thinned with water is brushed onto the brass details, but not over the entire brass surface, just sporadically in places to add some aging. Then some thin black can be used on the stock and grip areas to add aging to the wood. Dabbing with a cloth or paper towel helps blend the aging washes so they won't leave hard edges or brush marks behind. Some white mixed with a little black can be dry brushed onto the scope and the rifle to add some scratch detailing. This coil detail gets several metallic colors applied to the rings. The first 4 are gold, the next 4 are red, and the last 3 are blue. Dab these so they are subtle and not super bright. Some metallic silver mixed with pavement gray is used to paint the fork tip. Then the thinned black can be used in the crevices to add weathering. Some thinned nutmeg brown can be added across the rifle to give it another layer of aging. Once all the paint is dry, a clear matte coat can be sprayed over the entire pulse rifle to seal the paint and protect the graphite from smearing. And there you have it, Mando's pulse rifle that was featured in seasons 1 and 2, but we tragically lost. I'd love to know what you think of the new series and what you believe is in store for Djarin and Grogu. I hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to Haas of Props for more Mandalorian builds. And remember, if you are building any of my builds or using any of my templates, feel free and tag me at Haas of Props on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, because I would really like to see your fantastic work. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.